Hello. Just trying to figure out the best lighting here and I'll get started. So dark. All right, that's better. All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Jodi. I run Hawthorne Nature Connections Ministry in Massachusetts. And I would love to talk to you today just about what I do and then also the benefits of outdoor learning and the benefits of mixed age learning, both that things that I think are extremely important to the children uh, of today. So, I do run a children's ministry. Currently have kids from ages 5 to 13 on a private property, beautiful land with a stream and a small pond, and like 20 acres of fields and forest. So I'm very blessed to have that access to me. So I basically run a structure, like it's like a hybrid of some structured activities and then also open play. So we start each morning with a circle, come together, share a bird song that they are learning every day, and then the nature note for the day, what's happening out in nature at this time of year. Sometimes we have a book or just some like go around the circle and share um, whatever it is, your favorite animal of the day or something like that. And then usually just the plan for the day. Oftentimes that includes exploring the woods or going on a walk, or doing a guided activity. We did a web of life activity with string showing how everything's connected, followed by a game where people were either carnivores or herbivores, decomposers, all those things, and showed how they all work together, how we all need them all in the world. And so, um, and then after that, usually the structured game or activity, I often have an art project, whether it be like weaving baskets or um, what else have we done recently? Oh, made some herbal salves before. Um, or sometimes we do a fire and cook things over the fire, which is always fun. Stick bread is a big hit where you just take a recipe for basically bread dough, and then you wrap it around the stick in kind of like a snake form, and then you cook it on the fire and it puffs up like pizza dough. You stuff it with either butter or um, jelly. The kids love that. So that's always fun to cook things with a fire too. And then at the end of the day, we usually play a couple running games, either capture the flag or um, what's another one that we often play? Many different games. There's things like shipwreck or kind of like it's called Mammoth, kind of like rock, paper, scissors, but with Mammoth, Mouse, and Hunter. It's also a running game, or things like Cops and Robbers, a good old classic running game. So that's sort of the gist of what I do. Basically, a focus on connection, forming the kids having good friendships with one another and accepting everyone, cooperation, teamwork, um, just resiliency, like working outside in all weather, especially this winter. It's been pretty cold. Building the resiliency, being able to show themselves that they can handle that and they can be out there and they can do hard things. Also really important to me. What else? Just learning new skills too. So we do, like I said, things like whittling, fire building, learning about different herbs on the property. At the end of the year, we do a presentation for the families because they study a certain animal and then learn about where it might be on the property. And so um, we have that to look forward to. Um, yeah, what other things? Yeah, tree ID. I love trees. I studied trees and animals in college, so that's near and dear to my heart. So we learn about all the different trees and can identify them and the animals on the land or around that could be on the property. Some tracking as well. Just last week, I borrowed enough snowshoes, so we went snowshoeing, which is hard for a lot of the kids, but a great experience to have and something that maybe they'll pick up again someday and love it and really be avid snowshoers, right? So what I think I do is basically like if I can get one kid to be engaged in something, that's a win, right? They will go on to maybe foster that love for that particular thing. So I figure if anything I do, if some kids aren't interested, that's okay. I don't make anyone do a particular activity. Um, but at some point, they will be interested in something. And so maybe that'll be the hook that'll get them to be there. I think a lot of what I do is just connecting people to the earth too, right? And knowing that they can always go to that when they're feeling stressed or off balance or anything like that. The earth is so grounding, and you can feel connected to something bigger. So I often do sit spots too with the children, which is challenging for some and not for others. But going out into the woods and having them sit apart where they're not next to each other, but maybe they can see someone way over there on a different rock. But they're sort of in their own space. Best if they really can't see each other, but the best part for us to do it is sort of a valley with um, raises up on both sides in these like rock structures. So it's hard to get in that space, but best to not see if you have a space where they can kind of be tucked away without seeing another person, that's the best. And it can be like 5 minutes, it can be 10 minutes if they're really good at it. But it's really just getting them to be quiet in nature and listen and the things that you can observe and see how you feel. Sitting there, um, yeah, like one time I was just watching chipmunks that never would have been there if we were as loud as we normally are, but just run in and out of holes. And it was just having that magical experience, is something that I want the kids to have because that's what will stay with them, right? Like, oh, remember that time I saw this deer walk right in front of me? That would be amazing. That has not happened yet, but if it does. Um, so that is what I hope to instill in the kids, just a sense of um, belonging to the earth, but also like a connectedness, right? That we're all part um, of the earth. So I think that's all I want to say about that. And so I also used to work for Tinkergarten back in the day, and they taught a lot about behavioral schema. Tinkergarten was it's no longer in existence, but basically it was a child parent class. The kids came mixed ages, and we learned it outside. And so they talked a lot about behavioral schema, and I just want to mention them because I think it's so cool and something that comes naturally in learning outside. So we have um, it's behavioral schema are basically patterns that kids exhibit over and over again um, in their independent play. So they repeat over and over. And all over the world repeat these same schemas. And experts believe that kids are wired to repeat them to build body and brain and even form thinking processes. So how cool is that? And so outside provides a lot of opportunity to engage in schema. And so then the kids can take that and also um, repeat that at home in their independent play. So neat. Some of the things that the I'll give you the examples of the schema down here if you can see them. So we have transporting being the first one. And transporting is bringing things obviously from one place to another. Outside, that's just happens all the time, right? They're on a walk and they pick up pine cones and stick them in their pocket. We call them nature treasures. Um, Pick up really beautiful stones, love rocks, and put them in their pocket. And so the mud kitchen is always a favorite place for kids to be. There's also a sandy part, there's more clay on the property. And so kids will often take buckets, fill it up in the clay, bring it over to the mud kitchen, and make different layers of cake. And so that is just happens naturally outside all the time. So here they are building their brain and body connections always. Another one is rotating or circulating. That one happens outside naturally because there's space. There's space to spin. There's space to roll down small hills. Um, and we do a lot of games where you would kind of be moving in that direction too. There was one where we played with bat and what do we call it? Bat and uh, insect, I guess. I'm not sure. I think it's bat and fly, maybe. But the bat is blindfolded and they have to spin around and sort of catch the insect. And everyone else is in a circle, so they're safe. Guiding them as tree, like sort of trees on the edge, but they're trying to catch the fly who can see inside, but they're kind of spinning around in that way, trying to catch them and trying to tag them while they're blindfolded using their other senses. So that happens naturally. Trajectory, so moving body in a straight line. Um, so climbing on a log, climbing up a tree. We have a slack line on the property, so walking the slack line, using a pulley, um, just that up and down motion in the straight line. Um, Going on a slide. I do have a slide on the property that we put there, as well. So all that stuff, will be in the trajectory schema. Transforming is another one, transforming the look, shape, feel of materials. That naturally occurs in the mud kitchen. The biggest example I have of that. Um, Mixing, mashing, taking dirt, water, make mud, add things to it. Making potions. Sometimes they play like wizard or witch or something and make potions. Even fire takes something, a log, and transforms it into ash, coal, all that stuff. Another one is enveloping and enclosing. So you think about kids love to make forts. They love to go under and, have blankets overhead. Out in the woods, that translates into forts, with sticks and trees and branches and things like that. We've made some really, really fabulous forts outside. Another game we play too is called camouflage, where it's basically like hide and seek, but no one comes to find. The seeker just stands there and will count. And then everyone hides. And then they open up their eyes and they can see who they see from their spot and call them in from there. And then you have to move every so often when someone yells wildfire. And so, again, that's sort of hiding, being out and enclosing yourself, so no one can see. Excuse me. And the last one is connecting. So connecting things to one another. I think that just, and people are always connecting outside their space to do that. You can freedom to run and move. Also with ropes, we do some knot tying, and the kids love to make ropes for leashes, dog play, connect them together to make a longer rope to hang off of. All that sort of thing comes with connecting. Um, yeah. So that is the behavioral schema. Just wanted to touch on. And now, just want to talk about why mixed ages is so important. I mean, I think first of all, we're never in sort of in life, you're never going to just be with your age, right? So in work, in the grocery store, like you're always going to encounter people of different ages. So it's kind of funny how we really now like have kids in the same grade, and then they have maybe soccer with that same grade, and maybe an other activity with that same grade, and don't have as much opportunity unless they have siblings of different ages to interact with kids of different ages. So a mixed age classroom per se just more looks like real life. And so that's why I love it to begin with. Also, I have a day that is younger, just happens to be all 6 or 7 year olds, and then days that are mixed. And the day that is younger is and it's a smaller group, is way harder than the days that are mixed ages, and they're bigger, because it just works better. And I'll go into that in a second. But it's really interesting to see that because I didn't expect that. I was like, oh, it's a smaller day. It'll be way easier. And it's not. Even with some of the same kids, go the other days. They're easier on the other days with the mixed ages than they are on that day, or there's less, there's less problems, which is so interesting. Um, so let's see. Um, okay. And just another thing about why outside, just one more thing. It builds endurance, balance, agility, strength, resilience, all these things that we want our kids to have. And so outside's the best place to build those things. So older, so I mean, naturally people think, oh, it's great. My kid is an older kid, they can be a mentor to younger kids and have leadership experience. And certainly that is a huge one for the olders, right? They're able to be a mentor to the youngers. And with that, they often show empathy, more understanding, more compassion to the youngers. And I see that every day. They sort of understand or they remember being that age, especially when there's other people around them and you're in an environment that fosters, to be kind to everyone. They're, I don't know if I've ever seen them be unkind to the younger kids. They're just understanding and understand what they're going through because it's less of a you versus them when there's all sorts of ages in between, right? It's not like one whole grade level and then there's one other child. There's all different ages. So it just fosters more compassion. Um, and they able to build their confidence by showing leadership abilities and stepping into that place of leadership. It builds confidence naturally. When you teach someone something, you're going to be a little more confident doing that. Um, and so it's really cool how sometimes they naturally change rules to accommodate for younger kids. Be like, well, we play this game called Shipwreck where you have to do different things. And if you're the last person to do that particular thing, you might be out. Um, And so they'll say, oh, well, he's only 5, so he can have 2 lives or 3 lives. And they'll naturally come up with these rules themselves, which is so fun to see them again show that compassion, that understanding. Whereas maybe they wouldn't have had the chance to do that in a different setting. Or if you're playing like, I don't know, soccer, they'll show, we don't really play soccer that often, but if you are, they'll have maybe 2 goalies or something for the younger side because it seems more fair, right? So um, that happens a lot. Okay. And they're problem solvers, right? I've seen them step in when I'm not like in that location, there's a big span of space where we can sort of run and play. And if I'm not right there and listening to a certain problem, or I've seen them step in and say, oh, you guys both want that particular sled. This happened last week, I think. Let's figure out how you can both get what you want, or let's work together. Who wants a sled and why? And sort of um, them working that out builds so much confidence being able to see you help someone in that way, how cool. Like how I feel like that doesn't happen every day. We're able to do that and help others and see the result, them playing with the sled and taking turns after. Okay. And so, yeah, that's another, I guess I get that to a second with the youngers. Um, Okay. So yeah, again, they're able to be teachers and show. I have them, the olders, say you're building a fire, I'll have the olders show the youngers, okay, this is the type of stick we need, or this is the size that we need. Can you get that sort of thing? Okay. And the youngers, what's great for them is they do have a role model to look up to that's not their parents or a relative. Just nice to have that other person and a peer that they can look up to, ask questions, emulate, and learn from, and yeah, and feel safe around. Um, they can spark creativity in the olders. I've seen 13-year-olds play dog on with leashes, like one of the kids, but they would never do that otherwise. Like if I had a group of 13, they wouldn't be running around playing dog, but because the 5-year-old asked, hey, can you be my owner? There they are playing something together as a group. and using creativity and imagination, which kind of fades at that age by, after 8, that part of our brain, the sort of realistic part kicks in. So it's really fun to see that happen still. And then the olders can show the youngers too different games, and the youngers copy them, right? Oh, that place we saw them playing this game. Let's try that ourselves. So the youngers really learn conflict management, collaboration, just often by watching. So like I said, like with the mixed age groups, there's not as many problems because like take the social cues from the elders. Like they watch them, like last week with sledding, they watched them take turns. Oh, can I use that sled? Sure, yeah, yeah, right. I'm just gonna have one more try. Can I go one more time and then you can have it? Yeah, yeah, that's fine. And they hear that and they watch that versus like, no, my turn, no, my turn, my turn, which happens more on the days where it's just the same age. But on those mixed age days, they see that happen and they understand that it's not really the way you do it. And so that can be really cool to see. And so let's see. Um, yeah. So how do you engage the mixed ages, or what do I do to do that? There's Say for fire building, every activity offers the ability to have different kids do different things. So you have the older kids maybe building the fire itself, using the matches, whereas the younger kids are collecting the wood. I have this one girl that's really good at delegating. She'll say, I need like this size, I need a lot of this kindling, go, go, go. And they'll do it. They'll run and do it. And they'll listen to appear more likely, and they'll come back with that, and maybe they'll have them sort of add a little bit, or rip up the paper or bundle it up or whatever it may be. In even that activity, there's different roles for different people, right? We did stone soup one year, or sorry, this year, and there were kids. We did a mock stone soup where it was just pretend, and the kids added. The younger kids loved to add different things and stir it up, stir it up, stir it in that rotation schema, stir, stir, stir. Whereas the olders were making real stone soup and we're chopping up real vegetables and making the thing that we're going to eat. It could be setting the table too, or things like that, where we have youngers and olders working on the same project, just slightly different roles. Even things like capture the flag or a running game. We have some kids that really don't like to be tagged. So they um, will choose to be the guard where they're not going to get tagged. Um, and we have people and the olders will scheme and say, let's make a plan. We'll do this, and the youngers are just going to guard. Um, and so there's different roles in all the games, right? And so that's neat to see how that plays out without adult intervention of saying, okay, let's do this and do this. And that's the other thing too, is just taking time to let things play out, right? As adults, we often jump in, are like, okay, you're going to be the leader on this side, and we're going to divide up all the younger kids, and you're going to be just just take time and let them figure it out because they often do it better. And they learn along the way. And even I have to step back too and say, oh, I shouldn't have like bite my tongue and say, okay, let's just wait this out and see what happens. Um, and they'll often divide each other and have it play out better than I would. Um, and then I have these stamp books too, which is a really fun thing for the kids to work towards. They can, something as easy as tree climbing. They climb a tree, they can get a stamp for it. Um, they learn, let's see, different one. Build a shelter, they get a sheet for it. They learn, do a nature art project, they earn a stamp for it. But the olders have a little bit more responsibility, right? If they help someone earn their fire badge or fire stamp, they'll get a stamp, right? So they have sort of the helper um, track, which is cool, and it gives them more responsibility, and they've are really excited about this. So compass leader, like set up a compass course, learn to do that and set it with the youngers, where the youngers just have to participate. You're going to be a leader and do that. So that's another way that I've learned to or provided space for the olders to also benefit, and then the youngers to benefit as well. Um, so it's really awesome how the mixed ages work together. And I've seen firsthand when it's not the case. And of course, it can be wonderful if it's all the same ages, but it's just another magical experience when you have the olders taking on a certain responsibility and the youngers looking up and also um, engaging with them. Um, and having a voice too. At Circle, I have everyone contribute sometimes, and the youngers will, some one of them in particular loves to make up stories, and we'll be talking on and on, and the olders are like, oh, okay, interesting. But do not make fun of them. Allow them their space, right? Use that compassion, and they listen, and then they just move on, like knowing that it was not true. And the younger will learn over time that that to tell truthful stories. Um, but I think that is really what I wanted to mention. Um, the magic of mixed ages and providing a lot of space for everyone to like enjoy an activity and succeed. So if you're planning something, you can think, how can this benefit all the ages, or how can I tweak it so that the older are still engaged and interested, um, and the youngers are as well, right? Because the youngers really like to move their bodies and do things with their hands, and the olders really want that ability to work with peers and more maybe the mental challenge of something. So if you can combine those two into an activity, that would be really successful. Um, so thank you for watching. Hopefully you learned a little bit of something or um, about learning outside or mixed age learning. And maybe you can yeah, use some of these ideas in whatever you may do. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.